Hey guys, what's up? JRPG Greg here with my first review. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim is Vanillaware's most recent title for the PS4. It is a story-driven real-time strategy game. The premise of the game is kaijus attack Japan, and the 13 main characters have to stop them with giant robots called Sentinels. Throughout the story, you'll need to unravel the mysteries of what's really happening. The game has you play as each character, collecting clues along the way. Now, without spoiling anything major, I'll explain how I feel about 13 Sentinels. Something I want to give praise to right off the bat is music and sound effects. The music fits really well with what's going on at the moment. It's a good soundtrack, but the sound effects are what sold me. They are just phenomenal, especially with good speakers or a nice headset. It is so immersive that you feel like you're actually inside the game. You might not be able to tell from the video, but you know what? Here's a sample of the stellar sound quality I'm talking about.
Sentinel number 13, transmitting.
Don't tell me. Are you?
What was that?
What'd I tell you? Amazing, right? Okay, now for the combat. In truth, the combat gameplay kinda turned me off at first glance. Was expecting to have close-up giant robot battles, but all we got were these little things on the map. Hesitantly I played it and was pleasantly surprised. It's actually quite addictive, albeit too easy even on the highest difficulty of intense. Found myself playing this part of the game more than the other two parts until I was gated off. The other parts of the game are the investigation segments and the analysis, basically a glossary. Each part requires certain progress to unlock everything. I for one am a sucker for investigation games, so I definitely enjoyed the investigation segments. It uses a thought cloud that encompasses all the keywords you find by searching around. Sometimes you won't be able to progress until you find the correct clue. The flowchart helps to easily check what you need to progress. A few parts are confusing, but they didn't take long to figure out. If you enjoy investigating as much as I do, then this part of the game is your cup of tea. Now for the meat of the game, the story. It's kind of a mess, but not in a bad way necessarily. Basically, the devs put lots of sci-fi stuff into a blender and created a confusing plot. Think of any sci-fi flick, and chances are you'll see a reference to it somewhere. The story does make more sense after playing through the game enough. I was hooked on the game trying to make sense of the story. Never really did make sense of it completely, even after beating it. Time travel and all that jazz made it more convoluted than it needed to be. Not sure about the best way to play the story, as everyone will progress through it differently. Sometimes playing one character story will reveal something of another character story earlier than intended. Which isn't really a problem, but it confused me even more sometimes. The most important parts are locked off until much later. Quite masterful how they connected each story together. Each character is one piece of this jigsaw puzzle. It is definitely rewarding the more you progress in the story. I can't go into too much detail like I'd want to due to spoilers, but most of the story was very thought-provoking. Now the voice acting. The voice acting is done really well. I personally opted to use English voices for my playthrough, but I could tell that everyone was quite talented. For example, one of the characters is voiced by Cassandra Morris, or better known as Morgana's voice actor from Persona 5. Another one is Kaiji Tang, or Gaius from Trails of Cold Steel. In fact, his character is my favorite in 13 Sentinels. This part especially.
Noodles stir-fried in sauce, enfolded in sweetened bread. I don't trust much in this post-war world. But if there's one exception, it's my yakisoba pan.
Can't get enough of Yakisoba Pan. His dialogue with a certain character is quite fun too. Now for the visuals. So the graphics are pretty charming. They were a big factor to make me interested in the game. The 2D art is pretty detailed and full of life. This is something that 3D art can sometimes fail to achieve. The characters show a huge range of emotions and the animations are smooth. The backgrounds are really vibrant and fit the various settings in the game. And of course, we can't forget the all-important Sentinels. Their designs are awesome in the cutscenes. The UI in the game is also very nice. Now let's talk about performance. I know what you're thinking. Does the game perform well? Yes, even on the base PS4 it has almost no issues. I say almost because of one instance. I put the PS4 into rest mode at the ending cutscenes and it forced me to restart the PS4 and do the scene over. But it isn't really an issue if you do it in one sitting. Now to sum everything up, in short, the game has a great yet confusing plot, but paired with addicting gameplay. The visuals are stunning, and the sound and voice quality is superb. So how do I feel about 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim? I for one highly recommend it. It's a GG.